Hello, and today I'm gonna be talking about how are the Winnipeg Jets better than everyone thought, and that's what I've really wanted to talk about for a few weeks because the first week of the Jets wasn't great, but they were scoring, but they were letting in goals, and then the the second by the third week they were getting really elite goaltending from Connor Hellebuck, which really helped them win their record. It's not just a few games. It's not that much over 500, but really, it looks like a solid record and a team that easily could compete for a playoff spot. And I think they're in one now. There's so many teams battling for that, but if Hellebuck looks like 2017-18 Hellebuck. This is the Hellebuck that we all loved that year. 2018-19 Hellebuck was super up and down, but they had an amazing first half that it kind of overshadowed his like you know mediocreness because his last year the Jets had really solid goaltending from Brissois as a backup, so especially on back to backs, they they could do really well if they played well because Brissois was pretty good as a backup. He's proven that he's a lock backup. He's damn good goaltender, but Hellebuck struggled as a starter last year, and he also kind of struggled in the I mean, the whole team struggled in the playoffs, especially at home. They were very inconsistent, but and again they lost to the Stanley Cup champions, but that wasn't the St. Louis Blues that won the cup. That was just the first round Blues. That was a good team, but it wasn't a great team. They weren't a great team in that series. The Jets just weren't that good. But getting, well, Hellebuck, like Connor Hellebuck with his play, easily the Jets, I mean, not easily, but the Jets could definitely make play. I mean, I'm not sure how far they can go with it. And again, that blue line hasn't been people say it's only Hellebuck as well. It isn't only Hellebuck, but without Hellebuck, that team's allowing a lot more goals because especially they've they've won a lot of one goal games, a lot to do with Connor Hellebuck just stealing a lot of games that they get outshot. And again, and you could say, well, their defense on paper looks like a whole AHL defense, and it could be, but is it? It's not playing like a top five. Like if they were playing like a top five worst defense, though, Hellebuck couldn't goalies can't save you though. If you're truly the worst defense in the league, you can't you can't win games. You can't win games 2-1 when your defense is absolutely the worst in the league. The Jets defense is nothing like the worst defense in the league. But is it great? Definitely not. But one thing because I like the Jets and I want them to do well, and it frustrated me that they lost all these guys. Now, I rather lose Myers than Truba, but and again, we all knew Truba. He was not, and again, he wanted tons of money. And honestly, I think his contract, I don't know, like, he's proven that he can be a top defenseman on a team that doesn't have a superstar defenseman. And I would say, yeah, he's a star defenseman in this league. I don't think Truba, though, is a superstar defenseman. He's not. He's just not a superstar defenseman. And he, at times, he can make mistakes. It's not just Myers and a couple other guys. Like, he makes mistakes, too. He's not a caliber defenseman of Erik Karlsson's or anything. Like, he's nothing like that, but he's a pretty good defenseman. But, and this is why and again, it really is more impressive that they don't have Bufflin, because the Bufflin, and again, if they had Bufflin on this Jets team, this Jets team would arguably definitely be I still would consider them potentially a for sure contender if they had Bufflin. If you have Bufflin and Morrissey, I mean, that's a good. Like if you have a defense, like they're playing, like their defense is playing decent. Like they're still playing half decent. Like some guys have really stepped up that haven't really been in top four roles, and they're really playing well. If they had two, like if they just had like they would have two star guys, and the other guys would just be the other guys. I still, and I, and again, if they can keep the puck out of their net, this team is a contender. And again, it sounds crazy, but the Jets, they have and again, Scheifele still every year. Scheifele's getting like he is not going to slow down. Scheifele, I guess you could say right now, Scheifele's in his prime. I still don't think this is the best Scheifele. And again, I think he should hit a 90 points. I think he is that player. 280 plus point season in the regular season. That's an elite center. I still think his ceiling is higher. I think he has a 90-point season in him, especially at one time in his career. I expect at least one 90-point season because he's one of my favorite players in the NHL. And then, of course, and again, I think it's back-to-back 90-point seasons for Blake Wheeler, a guy that getting older, he is in his prime right now. He's had a tough career to start, but he's truly had an amazing time in Winnipeg. And then you have Kyle, and again, I think everybody can agree now, Kyle Connor, the better player than Laine, that can do about everything. And again, I think it's two, and again, I believe he's only had like 2 seasons, but 2 30-goal seasons for this guy. Like he really can make plays. But this guy, like he can really, like he can score. Just like Laine, he can, because this guy can make plays, but he can score. He can do everything. He is so entertaining, and Laine has definitely been less streaky this year. Laine's been better at making plays too, and he's put up 7 goals. It's not great, but it's good. Like he's had a good start. He hasn't a great Laine type start, but he's had a good start. I'll say that. I guess he's like, again, it's only 7 goals, but like he hasn't put up like a hat trick or 4 goals, and then the next game he's nowhere. And again, there's games where he's been nowhere, but he has at least been he's been more noticeable every game. He's at least more noticeable. Like when he doesn't score, he's been doing more things than he would usually do last year when he wasn't scoring. He's doing, like, Kyle Connor would always do things when, and again, Kyle Connor was more consistent. But he would do things, obviously. Laine is doing things now. Like, Laine is actually being noticeable when he's not scoring. So, Laine being noticeable when he's not scoring, that's a good sign. It's another thing about this Jets team is Laine's a better overall player this year. And in his press conference after he signed, he said the number one thing was consistency. Now, he still has to score more, but I think, he's at least played half decent this year, and I think I can respect that for him because he knows he needs to play better. And, you have to go through rough patches of your career, and Laine obviously had a rough time last year. Is a learning experience, and as a young player, you have to learn. He's learning, and I think he is growing because of that as well. I think that's a good growing path. Again, this guy's very young, and they could have traded. They really could. Everybody was saying this guy's going to be traded because, he's so inconsistent, and his contract really shows too. He could have been easily a $10 million player. That's what everybody was saying he was going to be. But after that streak, I don't think he even makes 7. I think it's like 6-something million. And that show, it's a 2-year contract, I believe. It's a show me pretty much contract. And it's a show me pretty much contract. And if he lives up to this contract, he will get the raise because Line is that good. Like Line is that good. I still think this guy. I still think this guy could score 60. I mean, seeing what Pasternak is doing right now, I can easily seriously. Line is so good at shooting that puck. Like he could be like this guy could be better than Pasternak scoring goals. Like this guy could easily score 60. Hell, in 18-19, he scored 30 plus goals. Practically like 90% of the goals were in 1 month. If he stays consistent and seriously, he would have again he can score 60. Like in his sleep, he scores 30. Like Line really, it's not hard. So that's another guy. And Ehlers as well is a great player. And a lot of depth guys too. I mean, a lot of guys like Lowry and Kopp and Perreault's obviously. Perreault can score. They have a lot of guys on their top six, but going back to their defense, I don't think Trouba. I think he got a bit overpaid with New York, and again, I knew he's going to get a lot of money. That's why the Jets, traded him. They knew he was going to get a lot of money. They traded him, and again, honestly, think Morrissey. Honestly, though, I think Morrissey, and Morrissey's very young. Like Morrissey's not in his prime, and I think Morrissey's honestly the better overall defenseman. I think he's a better overall defenseman, and he just got signed to $8 million a year. And again, I think he's worth. I do, but I think he's worth that. Again, in the future, Morrissey's young. I believe for sure in the future, he definitely will be worth that. Because again, he's young. Again, he's young, and he's really shown. Again, with really no other star defenseman playing with him, he's really shown how good of a defenseman he could be. How good of a defenseman he could be, because Morrissey is really a star defenseman, clearly, but Morrissey one day could potentially be in the superstar category because he is that good. He is that good of a defenseman. So the Jets have really surprised everybody. The Jets have basically been amazing compared to what people thought they would. And again, they still have, Beaulieu, or I think that's how you say his name. He's usually a pretty decent, he's a good NHL, and again, in my season previews, I said the Jets would make a wild card spot, and I think at the time, I'm pretty sure I said that Byfuglien, and I don't think I knew that Byfuglien wasn't going to be in the lineup. Without Byfuglien, would I think they would make the playoffs? I think they would probably just miss because without Byfuglien, because there's too many defensemen gone. But with Byfuglien, I still thought this team was a playoff. I still thought this team was a playoff team with Byfuglien. Because I don't think his team's again, their offense is one of the deadliest offenses, and they have not exploded. They haven't dominated in goals yet this season. That's the scary part is yes, and some games they have scored, and their stars are scoring the goals, which again obviously is going to have to happen. But this team is playing way better than anybody thought. And I think that's the main takeaway from this video is everybody thought they were going to suck because that blue line is all AHL and they have nobody. And, they're not going to, they're just not, no way they're going to make playoffs. No way they're going to beat anybody. They're going to lose so many games. This team's going to suck. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Might as well tank for a top 10 pick because they're not going to be good. And yet, and especially on Scheifele's Instagram before his season started, he really wants to prove he's seen all the hate. He's seen all the everybody's seen the predictions, and they know they want to prove everybody wrong. And right now, they're definitely doing that. They're proving everybody wrong, and I really like that they're doing that because I want them to do that. Without Bufflin, I was kind of like, well, I don't know. They might actually fall without Bufflin. But so far, they've really played well as a team, and their star players look pretty good. So that's all I have to say. The Jets do look like a Jets team. And of course, I can't not mention Paul Maurice. He's really coaching this team. If people ever question, well, I don't think Paul Maurice can really coach a team like this at all. And again, I don't think they're a bad team. Like Paul Maurice definitely has a big impact, but I still think this team is pretty good. Like, but Paul Maurice, like, if they make playoffs, like Paul Maurice could get like the Oilers and Islanders, like if they overall have amazing seasons, I would think a lot of there's gonna be a lot of coaches for Jack Adams candidates. So Paul Maurice probably wouldn't even get nominated, but you could see a potential nomination for Paul Maurice maybe if they make the playoffs. Not, again, he probably won't because again, just I don't see it, but I don't see it, but again, this team's really been impressive, and they're and again they're fun to watch too. Like they're still really the Jets. It's just they lost all these blue liners, and they're still winning games without them. Which they're still winning games without them, which proves they don't need Truba. They really don't. They got Morrissey, and it's good. I mean, they don't need anything else, and I'm happy, honestly, that they're doing this well with just Morrissey. Like with just Morrissey, so with just Morrissey, it's pretty good. So, thanks for watching this video. Talk to you on the next one. Please subscribe.